A very good morning and a cool welcome to you, dear students, to your third geography class. Today we'll be studying chapter 3, Tides, part 1. Now by looking at this picture at the back, you can notice that this is a tide. A tide is also known as a wave. And the boy over here is surfing on his surfing board. He is riding on the waves. Basically, this is a sport in abroad countries. Many people, when they go to the beach, they like to surf. Even children also, along with the help of the parents and trainers, they go surfing on the waves. The elder people and the experienced people, they go to the higher waves, and small children are kept near the beach side. Have you ever seen a tidal wave before, children? Probably you have gone to the beach or a boat ride, isn't it? That time you must have seen the waves coming towards the beach. Well, today we are going to watch all these tides and learn how the tides are formed and what are the cause of tides and how many tides are there. So let's ride on these waves, okay children? Come on, let's ride in. Now I will take you to a beach. The name of the beach is Currituck Beach in Corolla, that is in North Carolina in America. I wanted to see what is there in the beach. This is a 3D video, 360-degree video. So the link is given in the description below. You can click and move around using your finger or your mobile phone. You can turn left and right, up and down, and see the entire beach. As you can see here, this is a low tide. This is not a high tide. This is called a low tide. Very normal moving tide. You have definitely watched this when you have gone to the beach, right? You see this person touching the waves. Now you have watched here is called a low tide. Now we'll go and see a high tide. Now I am taking you to Jiantang River, that is in China. Jiantang River is situated on the east of China. It is the East Chinese River that runs for about 459 kilometers. It's a very long river. Here you will see the biggest and the most powerful tidal wave in the world. Yes, the biggest one. The link also is given in the description below. You can see in the description below the link and you can click and see the video. Well, I'm going to show you the video here also. You can observe it here. Jiantang River in China. So now students, you have seen the high tide. It's a very powerful tide. Basically the river flows such a speed and it hits into the China River. It's a China River and it is flowing into the China Sea. So when it hits into that, there's a big wave. Now let me tell you about centrifugal force. Centrifugal means going away from the center. Now I'll give you 3 examples. 1, 2, 3. Right? The first example is about the roundabout. You must have played this in the garden over here, right, or anywhere else. When you stand on one person standing or children standing, you can see here, and some people are spinning, some children are spinning it. When the roundabout is going round and round, you feel a force that you will be thrown outside, right? Secondly, when you are in the merry-go-round, you can see the children on the merry-go-round. You must have felt a force when the seat is spinning round and round, that you are going to be thrown outside. And the third one, the giant wheel. When the giant wheel is going round and round, you can feel that your seat is going to be leaning forward, right? All the time the seat, you can see here also in the picture, The seats are leaning forward as the wheel is spinning. This is what you feel, right? This is an effect of centrifugal force. Now what's the definition? Due to its rotation, the earth gets a type of power or force. This force works away from the center. Away from the center. That is called as centrifugal force. And let's learn about gravitational force. Gravitational force is the force of attraction on the body by the earth. The gravitational force is working towards the center of the earth at the same time. Centrifugal force is away from the center and gravitational force is towards the center of the earth. That's the difference between the two. Now I'll give you two examples. First example, now see, leaves and fruits fall from a tree downwards, from top to down, right, towards the ground due to the gravitational pull. Here you can see in this picture the fruits are falling down and the child is picking up. Now look at the second example over here. The child is throwing a ball in the air high up and it's coming down. A ball thrown in the air comes back to the surface due to the earth's gravity. When we throw a ball in the air, does it remain in the air or does it come down to the earth, children? It comes down to the earth, right? It does not remain high up or does not go into space. Or you must have seen everywhere. Also, you must have played also, plus seen in cricket matches and football matches or any kind of sports including a football, a ball. That's the gravitational force that's pulling down the earth, pulling down the object down to the center of the earth. Now what are the factors responsible for the occurrence of tides? Let's come back to the tides. How are tides formed? It is because of three factors which are responsible for it. First one, the gravitational pull of the moon, earth and sun. Second, revolutions of the earth and the moon and the centrifugal force. Because of three factors. First one, the gravitational pull of the moon, earth and sun. The revolutions of the earth and the moon. And third, the centrifugal force. Because of all these three factors, the tides are formed.
We move ahead. Now, factors responsible for the occurrence of tides. We learnt about the gravitational force and the centrifugal force of the earth. Okay. Now, there are other factors also which are responsible for the tides to occur. The gravitational pull of the moon and the sun as well as that of the earth. Yes. So, the earth is having the gravitational pull, the moon is also having the gravitational pull and the sun is also having the gravitational pull. But though the sun is bigger than the moon, yes, though the sun is bigger than the moon, but still its gravitational force is lesser than that of the moon. Why? Revolution of the earth around the sun and the indirect revolution of the moon around the sun. This is the second factor. The earth revolves around the sun and at the same time the indirect revolution of the moon around the sun. Didn't I tell you the earth rotates around itself? While rotating around itself, it is taking a round of the sun, that is called as the revolution. Fine. The earth's satellite, the moon. Yes, that moon is revolving around the earth. Isn't it? Now when the moon is revolving around the earth, it is indirectly revolving around the sun also. Yes or no? Because the earth is revolving around the sun. So the moon will also indirectly revolve around the sun. So that is the second factor. The next factor, centrifugal force generated due to the rotation of the earth. Though, the earth is rotating, it is generating a centrifugal force which we had already learned. As it rotates, a centrifugal force is generated which is working away from the center of the earth. Fine. Then moving ahead. Okay, you can see over here the occurrence of tides. See, this is the gravitational force of the moon. gravitational force of the moon. So what happens when there is a gravitational force of the moon? When there is gravitational force of the moon, it will pull the water. It will pull the water towards the shore. It will pull, the water will be pulled towards the shore. And when it is being pulled, that time that place will have a high tide. What that place will have a high tide. Yes. Now, since that place is having a high tide, yes, this is the moon over here we can see. This black arrow is the gravitational pull. This is the gravitational pull and this is the centrifugal pull, centrifugal force. So the moon's gravitational force is pulling the water towards the coast. So we can see the water level rising when the moon's force is there. So at that time, the coast experiences high tide. Yes, the coast experiences high tide when the water level rises because of the gravitational pull of the moon. Yes, the water level rises in the coast, that is called as high tide, and it occurs because of the gravitational pull of the moon, the gravitational force of the moon. Okay, children? Fine. Next, we move ahead. The moon is closer to the earth than the sun. Hence, its gravitational force becomes more effective than that of the sun. Yes, now see, moon is closer to the earth than the sun. So, obviously, the gravitational of the moon will be greater than the gravitational force of the sun. Fine. So, that is why when we saw the image where the gravitational force of the moon pulls, its force pulls the water level. And tides occur due to the relative position of the moon, the sun and the earth also. We saw how the earth and the moon is having an elliptical orbit. It forms an angle of 5 degrees. We have learned this in our second lesson, children. Fine. So you have to keep these things also in mind. So also the position of the moon, the sun and the earth. Moving ahead. Now if a place on the earth is experiencing high tide or low tide, its opposite point will also experience high tide or low tide at the same time. Okay. Now for example, we see over here. Okay. Now this portion over here is experiencing high tide. Yes. So which is the opposite side of this? This side. Okay. Which is the opposite side? This side. So these two places, this place and this place, are experiencing high tide. Yes, at the same time. Yes, these two places are experiencing high tide at the same time. So what happens as the water is being pulled away from this side and this side, the water is being pulled. Okay, so the water level over here and over here will be less. Am I clear, children? When the water level is being pulled from this side and this side, okay, so the water level over here and over here will become less. So when two opposite places are experiencing high tide at the same time, the other sides will experience low tide. Is it clear, children? Fine. We will move ahead. When there is high tide at 0 degrees meridian, the 180 degrees meridian also experiences high tide. And the meridians that are at right angles to those having high tide will experience the low tide at the same time. Confusing? Yes, we'll understand it. Okay? See over here. Okay? When there is a high tide, suppose this is 0 degrees. This is 0 degrees meridian. So its opposite side, 180 degrees meridian, this side. What we have? We have high tide over here. What do we have over here? The high tide we have. Okay. So we learned when one place is experiencing high tide, its opposite place will also experience high tide. So what is the other point we saw? That the places which forms a right angle. What is now? This is the line over here which forms a right angle. This is the right angle. Right angle means 90 degrees. Yes. So those places will have low tide. See? opposite places. Yes, when 0 degrees meridian is experiencing high tide, 180 degrees meridian will also experience high tide, and the places which form a right angle to these meridians will experience low tide. Yes, so this is the right angle formed over here. Right angle means 90 degrees. You have learned it, children, in your maths. This also right angle. So these two places will experience low tide. I hope this is clear, children. Yes. So we learned about tides. What are tides? The movements of the sea water, where at times when it is close to the coast it is high, when it is far away from the coast it is low. These movements are called as tides. Tides are, we learnt about the high tides and low tides. What are high tides? When the water level rises near the coast, that time it is a high tide. When the water level comes down, it is a low tide. Okay, and we also saw the factors which are responsible for the occurrence of tides. Okay, we saw how the sun, the earth and the moon, their gravitational pull, their gravitational force is responsible for the occurrence of tides. We learnt about the centrifugal force. We learnt about the gravitational force. We also learned as to when at one place, if there is a high tide or a low tide, its opposite place will also have a high tide. If it is a high tide, and if it is a low tide, it will be a low tide. And the places which form a right angle to these opposite places will experience the low tide. Okay, children, I hope this much is clear to you, children, for today. We will go ahead with the second part of this lesson in our next session. So for then, stay safe and go through the lesson once again if you have not understood, and we will continue with the second part of this lesson ahead. Okay.
So students, children, I hope you have understood this entire first part. It is a very intriguing and very nice part. You have seen the different types of waves. I've shown you the videos of the waves, right? The low tide and high tide in the two different countries, in America and in China. Also, I've explained to you about the types of tides and the forces affecting tides, the centrifugal force, gravitational force, right? All the things I've explained to you. I hope you have understood it. Thank you. Now let's learn the first part of the lesson, types of tides. Now listen to this, children. If you stay near the coast for some time near the beach, you will realize that the sea water is sometimes very close to the coast, while at other times it is far away from the coast. Right? When you go to the beach, you must have noticed this. We call these movements of the sea's water called tides. Now from the videos which you have seen, the first two videos which you have seen, you have noticed and known that there are two types of tides. The video 1 displayed the low tides and video 2 displayed the high tides. The cycle of high tide and low tide changes every 12 hours and 25 minutes. This happens because of the forces of the earth, the gravitational and the centrifugal forces that happens between the sun, the moon and the earth. Now let us now listen to the first part of the lesson. Please pay attention to this interesting explanation, children. You will love it.
Yes. So buckle up for our next lesson of geography. We are going to go on a ride. Yes, but on whose ride are we going to go? Let's see. Okay, fine. Before we go ahead with our next lesson, we will have a recap of our second lesson of geography. It was about the sun, the moon and the earth. What did we learn in our second lesson, and why Miss is talking about the second lesson now? Fine, it's got something related to our next lesson. In our second lesson, we learned about the sun, the moon and the earth, the position of the moon, the phases of the moon. We learned about the solar eclipse. We learned about the lunar eclipse, how the sun, the moon take position on the eclipses. Yes. So these three, the sun, the moon and the earth, have a role to play in our next lesson also. Yes, before going ahead with our next lesson, just have a look at these two photographs. Yes, do the above photographs show the same place or different places? What is this natural event called? Yes, what is it called? You can see over here the water level in this image and the water level in this picture. What happens? Over here, the level of this image, the water level is high, and over here, the water level has come down. Who has done this? How has it occurred? And what is it called? Many questions, many queries, I know. Yes, what is it called? The water level in the first picture is more, whereas in the second picture it has come down. Someone has taken out the water from them and taken it to the houses? No, they have not. It is there, but where has it gone? How has it occurred and what is it called? We will see this all about it in our next lesson. Okay? Now, if you have been to beaches or if you have been to a coastal area or if you have been near a coast, you can see that the seawater sometimes is very close to the coast and sometimes very far away. Yes. So, when it is close to the coast, you see the water level is high. When it is the water is far away from the coast, you see the water level is low. Yes. So, these movements of the water level rising and the water level coming down called as tides. What are these movements called? They are called as tides. Am I correct, children? Yes. So that's what our next lesson we are going to do. Let's go on a ride with the tide. Chapter number 3, tides. Fine. Next, what are tides? Tides are movements of seawater occurring daily and regularly. They are there every day and regularly. They don't take a break. Like how we get tired, we take a break. No, they don't take a break. Daily they are doing their work, the tides. Yes. And what happens? The level of seawater changes after a specific period of time. As we saw it in the image also, pictures also. In the first picture, the water level was high. In the second picture, the water level was low. So the level of seawater has changed. However, it has changed, but this change is there after a specific period of time. Now, what is that period of time? We'll see. Okay, that period of time is 12 hours 25 minutes. Yes, after every 12 hours and 25 minutes, a cycle of high tide and a cycle of low tide gets completed. The cycle of high tide and low tide gets completed after every 12 hours 25 minutes. Now, for example, if in the morning at 7 o'clock, if a place, a region, coastal region is facing, there is a high tide occurring there. Okay, so same place after 12 hours 25 minutes there will be a low tide where the water will be closer to the coast and far away from the coast. It will be far away from the coast. Yes, and when it is closer to the coast it is a high tide. So after every 12 hours and 25 minutes a cycle of high tide and low tide gets completed. Okay, so place where there is a high tide at a particular time, the same place will have a low tide after 12 hours and 25 minutes. Is this clear, children? Good. We'll move ahead. This regularly occurring event appears to be quite simple and natural. However, it is directly related to the sun, the moon and the earth. Didn't I tell you we have these three with us? Yes, in the next lesson also. So, though this event which is occurring, it occurs quite simple. Now it is pani kam mein, baad mein the water is less. Now it is more. It's quite simple for us. But then it is the work where we have the role of the sun, the moon and the earth, as well as the gravitational and the centrifugal forces that interact between them. Now, what are these words, gravitational and centrifugal forces Miss is talking about? You will understand it when I explain it to you. Okay.
So students, you have understood this part, initial introduction part. Okay, good, very good. Now here's an activity for you children. This is called a water spin activity. For this you need a glass of water, in fact a half glass of water. So go take it and bring it. Alright, if you have got a glass of water ready, then take that half glass of water, slowly move it in one direction in a circular fashion. Move it slowly, 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 slowly. Now what is happening? You can see the water spinning in it. Okay, water spinning in round and round, round and round. Okay, observe what is happening to the water. What did you notice, children? What happened to the water in the container and the mixer? It moved round and round, right? And the water sometimes has split inside the container. You can see it like a whirlpool becoming inside. Now, which forces could be operating in this activity? It's called a centrifugal force. The centrifugal force is visible in this activity. Now, let me make something more clear for you in the next part. Now, in this part, you will learn about the centrifugal and gravitational forces. This is part 1. Let's watch it.
Okay, now the centrifugal force. Earth is rotating. Yes, the earth is rotating around itself, and at the same time it is revolving around the sun. We have learned this. Similarly, the moon also is rotating and revolving around the earth, and indirectly it is revolving around the sun also. Correct, children, isn't it? Now, when we talk about the earth due to its rotation, it is rotating. It gets a type of power of force. There is a force which is generated, a power which is generated. And this force works away from the center. It is working away from the center, so it is called as the centrifugal force. The force which is generated due to the earth's rotation, it is called, and which is working away from the center, it is called as a centrifugal force. And what happens because of this force is that any object on the earth's surface can be thrown into the space. Yes, it can be thrown into the space. But do we ever see any object automatically being thrown into the space? No. Why? This force is there. It is always there because the earth never stopped rotating. It is rotating every 24 hours. Yes, it is rotating every day. Yes, and revolving also every day. So, due to this force, the centrifugal force, any object can be thrown into the space. But it's not been thrown. Why? Why it is not being thrown? The centrifugal force. There's one more force which we had a word earlier. Gravitational force. Okay. Now, if you try, you must have played, throwing a ball high up in the sky and it is coming down. Why doesn't it go into the space? Yes, why doesn't it go into the space? It doesn't go because there is another force which is powerful than the centrifugal force, which pulls it back towards the earth. That force is called as the gravitational force. What is that force called? Gravitational force. The gravitational force is working towards the center of the earth at the same time. Centrifugal force works away from the center. Gravitational force works towards the center of the earth. And this force is many times greater than the centrifugal force. That is why if you throw something up in the sky, it doesn't go up, it doesn't reach the space. It comes back to the earth. Why? Because the gravitational force is many times greater than the centrifugal force. Okay? That is why any object on the surface of the earth remains on that place where it exists. Otherwise, what would, if the gravitational force would not have been that powerful than the centrifugal force, we would have seen ourselves also floating up in the space. Isn't that is why because of this gravitational force, we human beings are there on the surface of the earth. The things which belong to us, our cars, our books, our house also is there on the surface of the earth. Because the gravitational force of the earth is stronger and greater than the centrifugal force. Okay. So what happens because of this force? This force is pulling something towards it, isn't it? It's pulling something towards it. So what happens because of the pull of the centrifugal and the gravitational force? That we will see ahead. Okay, you can see over here the gravitational force and the centrifugal force over here. See children. Okay, this G, it shows us the gravitational force which is working towards the center of the earth, and the centrifugal force is working away from the center of the earth, isn't it? Yes. So that is why the gravitational force is stronger than the centrifugal force. Okay children.
So children, you have understood centrifugal and gravitational force. Now let me give you some examples about it.